The ancestor journey.
The ancestor journeys.
That brought us here. I have a proclamation to make for which I beg your indulgence.
I am an international colored woman. My African ancestry dates back to the beginning of human origins. 4 million years ago in Ethiopia.
My people have been colonized, enslaved, and forgotten.
One day, Barndoor was in the fields chopping cotton when he heard Aunt Emmy's voice.
From deep in the earth.
Barndoor, the time has come to walk to freedom.
Wait till night.
Then go, and don't leave. Don't leave.
Nobody
behind.
Keep a coming to Jones Road. Look for an old white farmhouse with a star quilt on the roof.
We be waiting for you.
God be on your side.
You as good as.
Good as.
Good as?
You as good as free.
We flew over the bridge.
Yet,
When
Bertie and I moved, we didn't go to be the
only black family.
Only black family. Only black family.
on Jones Road in Inglewood.
Sarah Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, Wilson Pickett,
Lived in Inglewood years ago.
and now
Whitney Houston, Carol Martin.
And Eddie Murphy,
also live in Inglewood.
just a cool 8 minutes from Harlem.
We arrived October 29th, 1916. I was 2.5 and I remember a lot. I was born in New York City, right where the George Washington Bridge is. And my dad decided that he wasn't going to pay rent anymore because rents went up from $24 to $36 a month.
We came to Teaneck in 1969 after living on the west side. We liked the fact that it had a fairly large percentage of blacks, at least considerably larger than most suburban communities. We felt it was important for the children not to grow up as black children isolated in a white community.
When we moved to Teaneck, there were a few black families living in the Northeast and more.
And more, and more.
And more.
Were moving in.
In 1970, my mom was born on the reservation in Arizona, in the Navajo Nation near Window Rock. She was part of the Mud Clan. She was adopted when she was very young by my grandparents, who are Italian and Irish. She has no recollection or any records of her family. Her mom was young, and everyone on the res was very poor. So she put my mom up for adoption and hoped that she would have a better future and a better life.
A better life.
Then she lived a very privileged life, and she was very grateful for that.
Obviously, my ancestors migrated from Africa. I'm an African-American black individual. My family, my closest relatives, are all of Jamaican descent. My family migrated from Africa to Jamaica many years ago. They lived in Harlem, then in New Jersey. They speak English in Jamaica, but it's a different English. It's patois.
I know it was hard for her because she wasn't connected with her past. She struggled growing up with her family being white and her brother being white and her looking different from everyone else and not knowing much about herself.
And that kind of caused a lot of bullying and, you know, a lot of struggle when it came to, like, adjusting to, I guess, like, American lifestyle and being accepted by, you know, because multiple generation African-American people are, you know, kind of one group. And then you have immigrant black people that come over, and sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect because you don't exactly have the same struggles as an African-American that grew up in the United States or was born in the United States, compared to you coming over from another country and also having culture shock and dealing with racism and discrimination based on how one speaks and the food that they eat, things like that.
I'm sure a lot of Native Americans have to deal with it because a lot of our history is erased. When it comes to my mom, it's hard, not really feeling connected to your past.
I guess you could say they just wanted to start a new life for themselves in the land of opportunity. And that's why they call it the United States. And most, I don't want to speak for all, but a lot of immigrants coming to America kind of had this idea that America is like a perfect nation, or the United States is a perfect nation. I know because I was born here. That's not the case.
When Bertie and I moved, we didn't go to be the
only black family.
Only black family. Only black family.
on Jones Road in Inglewood.
Sarah Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, Wilson Pickett,
Lived in Inglewood years ago.
and now
Whitney Houston, Carol Martin.
also live in Inglewood.
Just a cool 8 minutes from Harlem.
But in another world, and one so beautiful.
I soon had a rude awakening. Certain people in Inglewood were very ugly.
Very ugly.
Very ugly.
I felt totally violated.
I realized I was dealing with
Something I was not prepared to fully comprehend.
And all but raging fear that whites sometimes have when a black family moves into their neighborhood.
A white face is no resume.
It is frightening to see how difficult it still is to live free
live free.
Live free.
Live free.
Live free.
in America.
This is the town I live in.
I just like to tell you my experience. I've had so many things on my mind and so many hurts in my heart that I'm kind of glad to talk about it. I think sometimes you talk about it and it makes you feel better.
In the morning, barn door yelling.
Oh, Emmy, we here now.
Precious leading us with baby freedom, born on the way. 28 of us ain't leave nobody behind. And Emmy done made us a welcome quilt. God know how glad we is to be free. We done been through hell, ducking hate and dodging fear, but all us together. Thank God! Tired as can be, the children commence to run and play. Their sweet voices like bells of joy.
We free now. Oh, and he got us now.
Ain't gonna be sold no more.
Ain't gonna be whipped no more.
Ain't gonna chop, chop, chop in the hot sun for no one.
We
free.
Go to school.
Act a fool.
Free to play.
Run in the sun like anyone.
God be my witness, that's how we come to Jones Road on November 23rd, year of our Lord, 1792.
We came here because we felt it was the kind of community in which we wanted to raise our two children. It was a very healthy middle-class community, people living together, accomplishing things together. We found a real estate agent who showed us a few homes and finally found one. My husband took one look and said,
That's the house we're gonna buy.
we were so impressed with the whole atmosphere in the neighborhood. We were impressed with the friendliness of the people. The whole area just seemed to be just what we were looking for. So we bought the house. That was 31 years ago, and we've been happy with it ever since.
When I first moved into this block where I live in, I was the first one, and it took about 5 years, I believe. And all the white people in my neighborhood began to sell their property. I was even approached by real estate people to sell my house to a colored family because they don't want me to be among the colored people here. But I said no.
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 I am not going to sell this house. I'm going to stay here regardless of who my neighbor is.
This is the town I live in.
Teaneck was sort of like the ideal town, and people were integrated. My husband's aunt used to take us through different areas and say,
A black person lives there and a white person lives there.
they seem to have been scattered pretty much throughout Teaneck. And the houses were new, modern. Coming from the Lower East Side, we felt that the suburbs had more to offer as far as freedom of action and so forth. I guess that's how we came to Teaneck.
The people here are very suspicious of any foreign-born to come into the neighborhood. However, after I moved to this community, the tension was so great that you could almost feel it every day. The people were very suspicious, and they said,
We don't want anybody, especially the colored people.
that was in the 1950s,
The 1970s.
The 1990s.
and the people here were always against anybody moving in that was not white.
Some real estate agents went up and down the block trying to scare people into selling their homes, saying,
You don't want to live in an all-black neighborhood.
you know the way the real estate scare salesman did? And a group of whites who lived up there, whites and blacks together, started a campaign called,
This house is not for sale.
My concerns were basic. I was concerned about where I lived, concerned about conditions under which I lived, and I was concerned that there was equality. I was concerned about my children getting the best out of the school system. Yet, I had a feeling that if I wanted to get all of this, if I wanted equality, if I wanted a good life, if I wanted
A good life for my kids.
I had to be active. I couldn't just sit home and complain. I had to get out there and make sure that things were done.
One year, my daughter came home from school, and she said,
Mommy, they didn't choose any black cheerleaders.
and I said, what do you mean they didn't choose any black cheerleaders? And she said,
They didn't choose any black cheerleaders.
and I said, why don't you meet with the gym teacher and find out just what happened? So my daughter did this. She decided to do a little spying. She took a tape recorder in her pocketbook and then talked with the coach, and she asked,
Why were there no black cheerleaders chosen?
the teacher said,
they didn't have enough pep.
my daughter said,
Black kids don't have enough pep.
she said,
I don't mean rhythm. We know you got rhythm.
she said,
But you didn't have enough pep.
Pep?
Pep.
pep.
It was 1958. and I was the only black at the school. My ambition was to become an actress. At that period of time, the doors were closed. When it came time for the senior play, I wanted to try for the leading part and was told, not by Miss Smith, but by the committee of my peers, that they were not ready for a black to take a leading part. And the only part that I could take was to be the maid. Now, I wanted to act. That's all I was concerned with. So I had to start with the bit. That's all I was interested in. But it humiliated my mother and father terribly. My parents kind of made me feel ashamed, saying,
"You're better than this."
And
You really shouldn't have taken that part.
so I scratched it out in my yearbook.
All that time, the discrimination was rampant in the community. My child always come home crying because she was called all kinds of names like Chinese or Mexican or Puerto Rican or whatever it is, because they feel like her face doesn't look white and the features on her face are different from the white children.
My daughter refused to salute the flag, and I got a call. I said to the teacher, "Why does she have to salute the flag?" And she said,
Because she has to salute the flag.
and she went on about how marvelous the country is. And I said, "But if she's not sincere, if she's doing this for show, you're just playing her out. Leave her alone. If she doesn't want to salute the flag, if she doesn't bother anybody else and stops nobody else from saluting the flag, that's fine. But if she causes a disturbance, then you have every right to ask her to leave." And she said,
But, oh, she's such a lovely
A
girl.
lovely
A
girl.
lovely girl.
A lovely girl.
and she went on to praise my daughter, saying how much she liked her. And I said, "Don't like her. Just teach her." I said, "You obviously have not had many dealings with blacks." And she said,
Oh, but she is black and she's so beautiful too.
and again, there were these insidious little remarks that black and beautiful do not go together. She did not salute the flag, and it suited her fine.
This is the town I live in.
My children couldn't hardly do anything in this town without the cops letting my husband know.
That woman's husband, he used to go after those black kids. When they were doing anything, he used to go out after them. And I remember one day when two of the kids said, "I'm bringing my father up," and he said,
That's just what I want. Bring him up and I'm going to tell him to go back to Harlem where he came from.
This is the town I live in. I will always remember when stars fell down around me and lifted me up above the George Washington Bridge. The bridge was my most prized possession. Now I have claimed it. All I had to do was fly over it, to be mine forever. I can wear it like a giant diamond necklace.
Or just fly above it and marvel at its sparkling beauty.
I can fly. Yes, fly. Me, Cassie Louise Lightfoot.
Only 8 years old and in the 3rd grade.
And I can fly. That means I'm free.
Free.
To go wherever I want for the rest of my life.
Cassie Louise Lightfoot's dream, to be free, to go wherever she wanted, is a dream I share with my ancestors.
I can see myself in the sky with the legend before me, making it, despite the pain, as if it was normal.
It is here among the stars that faith has brought me. Through her voice and vision, I have been overcome by a sense of belonging, knowing that when committed to the work, the possibilities are endless.
She has forged a way out of no way through her unwavering dedication to the justice, the work, and her sense of self.
While we continue to pursue a not yet realized equity, Faith's stories offer us a roadmap. Her gestures are unapologetic. They are honest, depicting the true breadth of the Black experience.
Next, I'm going to fly over the cake factory, just to make sure we do. Tonight, we're going to read Tar Beach. Granddaddy will bring home a watermelon, Faith will bring the paper and my favorite green pens. Their guidance will nourish me, and I will fly.
compelling us all to reckon with ourselves.
They say you must have a certain face, be a certain kind of a certain race, and that you must come from a certain place. They are guilty of telling a lie that only certain folks can fly.
Everybody who lives in Manhattan has a certain dread of crossing the Hudson River. I mean, you can beg them and plead with them, but it takes almost an army to make them cross the bridge and come over. It's a psychological barrier, as well as a physical barrier, that is not so great physically.
Take my coward's hand and let's try to go on together.
My dad came to the U.S. by float, which meant he had to cross rivers and desert, and he had to trust the strangers leading him.
Our worst night was when we followed the river deep into the swamps. We was all weary from running from dogs and fighting snakes, and we was so hungry and there was nothing to eat.
He talked of dehydration in the desert and the long nights leading up to his arrival.
Just before daybreak, we reached a clearing in the woods where some white folks had gone away and left the banquet of food untouched. Lord, did we have a party in them woods. We ate and drank real good for the first time since we could remember.
He said the hardest part of his journey was having to leave home, not knowing whether or not he'd see his family.
Folks say they don't know how we made it, but the truth is, we put one foot from the other and just keep it coming till we got here.
We arrived at the Palisades before daybreak.
Dog tired,
Aching from head to toe.
but the sky was as blue as ever a sky could be, and the birds were singing a strong, sweet song of freedom.
We laughed out loud and nobody heard us. After that, our nights was not so long and lonely.
Lord, let this don't be no dream and we wake up a chopping cotton. Just fall on our knees, making a river of tears right there on the ground.
Feel the joy of song and dance.
Let your body move around.
Learn to laugh instead of frown.
Don't waste another day.
Worry about what people say.
Take your life in your hands.
In your hand.
In your hands.
Now contemplate the flight command.
I could see our tiny rooftop with Mommy and Daddy still playing cards, as if nothing was going on. And Bibi, my baby brother, his eyes like huge floodlights tracking me across the sky.
I'll tell Mommy and Daddy if you leave me.
I'm taking Bibi with me.
You can see right there next to the farm.
Right over the hill.
There are beautiful orchards, and the sight of them is just absolutely breathtaking.
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 Like in the afternoon when the sun was setting.
Everyone knows the gorgeous sunsets you can see here.
The trees.
The wonderful trees.
Keep us from seeing the sunset.
But if you go down, you can see it.
Every day you can see this gorgeous sunset.
told me.
We told her.
They told me.
It's very easy.
Anyone can fly.
All you need is
Somewhere to go.
That you can't get to any other way.
The next thing you know,
You're flying among the stars.
open housing.
Integrated schools.
Curricula that touched everybody. Dealt with everybody.
everybody striving hard for the same buck.
I like Cedar Lane. When the theater is open and you go to the movie and you see people online.
All kinds.
Colors.
Sizes and shapes.
That's the kind of hopeful still. Something like a community spirit.
Now, I don't know how to define that. Those are easy words to say, but it is sort of like looking out for each other.
Oh, you're from T-Net?
Yeah,
All right.
that sort of thing. They may still be there, I'm not sure.
We got to meet people that we normally would have not met in town.
We got to understand people that were a lot different than us.
We got to meet people on a social level that we never would have met, and by meeting them on a social level, by being in their homes, by them being in our homes, we found that people are people, period. That if you speak openly and honestly and straightforwardly, you're respected for it.
Because I think you are so very nice, I want to offer you some good advice.
You may be rich, you may be poor.
Living high on the hog or stretched out on the floor.
You may be a professor with knowledge to burn.
Or just a young kid with a lot to learn.
You may be black, white, red, yellow, or in between.
You may be kind, or a little mean.
But if you remember this simple phrase, you'll be a winner for the rest of your days.
First, stand up, everyone in this place. Now put a great big smile on your face. Everybody ready? Let's go. This is the phrase you need to know.
I can change. I can do it. Just keep trying and you'll do it. And I hope that you people, friends, and neighbors who are able to do something for the community, please do it. Because a community is only good when all the people living in it work together and love each other and help each other in the time of need.
So I would like to advise you, my friends and neighbors, let us cooperate together. Let's forget all this petty jealousies. Let us forget and look at the person as if that person is you, and disregard her race, disregard her nationality, the color of her skin, and the way she behaves. Disregard that. Let's work together with love for everybody.
But nothing is perfect in this world, Virginia, you know that. Nothing is perfect. There is no such thing as absolute perfection. So you have to accommodate. This is as close as we probably will ever get at this point in my life. I am not about to venture out and start looking for that ultimate perfection.
My grandmother always made sure my dad kept true to his Jamaican roots. He never lost that just because he lived in the United States. He always made sure that he passed that on to his children. She deeply instilled in us the culture of Africa, and the fact that we migrated, and the fact that although we're Jamaican at the root, we're African people, and that nothing can change that. And that's something that nobody can take from you. So I would just thank her, and I would probably just tell her that, she had the right idea.
I can no more hide the fact that I am a woman than I am a Negro. It is a waste of time to entertain such subterfuge. I want you to know there's a heavy price to pay for being a black woman. So you must focus on your dreams and never, ever let go. We need to rewrite the book of life to make men the mothers and women the fathers. Can't we have a team, a sisterhood maybe? Where we women would get busy solving the problems of war, hunger, disease, and ignorance.
You feel guilt and anger, Mama. You were guilty because you gave up motherhood for art. And you were angry despite the fact that you've lived your life exactly as you pleased. You still can't have the power of men. You want it all, Mama. And what's more, you deserve it.
Now that is what I would like to see. I can't see why that can't be done.
People should take a very sharp and deliberate interest in the black cultural contributions to the country.
I know we are bogged down with corporate life,
And professional life.
but without the cultural meaning, We can lose track of values. By that I mean thinking of the monetary instead of cultural.
Music, as you say, sets the mood and puts emphasis on the feelings.
It creates a danger. It creates the suspense. It creates the happiness.
There would really be emptiness because music sets the mood, sets the tone, and gives you just,
Really?
I guess. It almost tells the story.
Tells the story.
tells the story.
Tells the story.
Give me a hand again for Roberta Piket.